Boys, the do's and don'ts of punting. This is...
Is this a bit like the
it's a socially
the maniacs
lighthearted
preaching to the asylum?
No. Well, we're a betting show, and there is a reason why some people are punters and professional, and there is a reason why people are mugs, and I am a mug. So I'm going to lead it off. The top always 3 rules that I do in betting is always bet with cash.
So the missus can't find out?
Seriously, I've never bet with cash. I'm always on credit. Always follow the in-form stable because they seemingly have more winners than the out-of-form stable, obviously. Always blast out in the last.
I'm going to dispute that a little bit later, but that's fair.
Go.
Well, for me, I like if you like a horse, the bigger the price, the more you have on, because the prices are only opinion. And just who's to say that your opinion's not better than the bookmaker or whoever's setting the agenda?
The fact that they drive Mercedes and the fact that I drive a Mazda.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point. Another one I've got is there's never a last race. There's always tomorrow, there's always Wednesday, there's always next Saturday. So that's something. Patience is the biggest thing in punting for mine. And that's probably my 2 do's of the punt.
OK, Michael?
Personally, these are 3 rules that I would love to adhere to, but I do find myself breaking them pretty much every Saturday. Odds on, look on. You can go broke if you're backing the shorties all the time. Value is what it's all about. The next one that I would be talking about is don't chase your losses. Now, it's very difficult to do, but if you like a couple during the day and they don't go well, if you haven't done the form on the last at Mandurah, maybe not go there to try and blast out. Once again, I end up happening to do that. And the last one is, if you're going to have a serious day on the punt, alcohol doesn't mix too well with your judgment. If you want to go out and have a social day with your mates, absolutely get on the sauce and have a few early bets maybe. But if you go out there and get plastered, you're having 500 on horses you've never heard of before you know it.
You've just done everything that we do each and every week, and you put it on your always. Nick, you're the smartest out of all of us.
Well, clearly you should only ever bet what you can afford to lose, unless it's a good thing. Nobody ever won money by not punting. Give up, never won a race.
Correct.
And always bet each way. Because if you think a horse is going to win, have your $10 each way. Oh, bang, a $4 winner. Oh, and $1.80 the place. It's just honey and milk everywhere for the punters. Collect twice.
On the downside, rule number 1, never lend money to a mate who hasn't got a job because you've got no chance of ever getting it back. And Nick, you've just had a big win. You'll know what I'm talking about. Never, ever tell the bride what you've lost. And more importantly, never, ever tell the bride what you've won, because if you win big, she thinks you lose big. And whilst that's true, you don't want her to know. And don't ever think that they don't know, because they do know. Yeah,
it's always an interesting point there you put with the brides. They're always happy to take the winnings, but they never chip in for the losses.
Yeah. Take a sleep.
There's a winner's tax, but there's no rebate on the losses.
OK, yours, Nevers?
Nevers, I'm not afraid of odds on. I'm certainly not afraid of odds on.
Never be afraid of odds on.
Never be afraid of odds on. I think if there's value, and like if you think something's $1.10 chance they're betting $1.80, why not have something on?
$1.23 black caviar. Boys, Nick, you first. The don'ts, the nevers of punting.
Never lay off. You're just giving money back to a bookmaker.
Never crush.
And you can tell by how well this bloke's dressed, they've got enough money as it is. So don't lay off, let it ride and just back yourself in.
I think that there is a method to the madness in laying off, especially if you've got a nice big dividend coming your way. Maybe you can edge your corners, but there you go. That's why he's just had a massive fill-up on the weekend and I haven't. Mine never, to be honest. I never go to the Red Hots on a Saturday night after I've lost on the races because I always get locked 3 back the fence and there's never any running lane when I have those bets.
Yeah, no, I know how you feel. Mandra's a good place for get-out stakes. The forum posts were interesting, and let's have a look at some of our posts from earlier. Always give the Mafia a sling with the words "go and buy yourself something nice," the Mafia being the bride. And never hold out on the Mafia because it'll cost you a whole lot more in the end when they find out. That's from Surround 12. Bet with what you can afford to lose. Stick to your plan. Read Punters Paradise Forum, which is one of their forum sites that you can always get a bit of a heads up on. Never chase losses. Please. Never chase losses. That would mean you'd have to back the winner of the first every day. You can't do that. Never change your mind at the last moment. My worst thing is when you follow some lunatic in to whoever bookmaker and he's at 1,000, you've got your shaky little 25 and you go, oh, I'm following that bloke, he's at 1,000, he must know. And yours wins and his loses.
Yeah, there's probably not. At least that's probably another good rule of the punt is stick to your own judgment, because then you've only got yourself to blame. If you're following in other people, I think I always find I get a little bit more dirty on myself.
Never RSVP to a wedding on a Saturday. That's another one that has just been tweeted in.
Geez, you're ruling out a few.
Never invite people. Never have a wedding on a Saturday when there's races on. Have it on a Friday night. Let's have a look at a couple more as well. Always have a beer in the fridge. Make sure the rent's paid. That's a very good work. And make sure you've got a Vampire's Diaries DVD. What is going on there?
Gee, we've got some astute viewers already, Russ, especially that bloke after 8 minutes who emailed in and said, what were you, an unwatchable drip?
Unwatchable drip. And I'm going to be called that from here on in. Unbelievable. I'm a watchable drip.
Oh,
it's not unwatchable.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
I'm hanging around young and youthful people just to make myself look good. It's better than what I normally do, hang around old ex-cronies.
That's the great thing about racing. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Here's a good one. We'll end this one. Never get your gambling money from those quick loans places. The interest rate is deadly, I think, speaking from experience. What do you think of this one, Michael? Never answer the door or the phone on a Saturday, and never tell the missus you're backing a horse whose name is similar to hers.
Well, to be honest, I've got a little bit of a rule where you don't really tell the missus if you're going to get a good collect. I had the history a few years back of having a big football multi, probably worth about $25,000, and sat down and watched the last quarter. We were 17 points up. As soon as the missus got involved, opposition kicked the next 4 goals and we got rolled.
We've all got a story like that. Wait till I tell you about Damien Oliver and Casino Prince and the Doncaster. It still haunts me. Speaking of our mates at punterparadise.com.au, it's a fabulous website. They are our partner. You simply go there. There's news. There's all sorts of tips for horse racing, AFL, NRL, rugby union. You can have the ratings. Obviously, one of the big features is the racings on Saturday. Odds comparison. You can look it up, find out the odds between all sorts of totes and bookmakers like centrebet.com, as you can see there from the weekend's racing. And you've also got plenty of free form. And there you go, a $400 bonus from centrebet.com if you get involved and join up through Punters Paradise and the free form guide as well. That's all, puntersparadise.com.au, as we go to a break on Talkin Thru Your Kick. Welcome back to the show. Time for a little punting advice from our experts, Brent Zaraf and Nick Quinn from News Limited, Herald Sun and Daily Telegraph racing experts. We'll chip in without two Bobsworth, Michael Felgate from centrebet.com, and myself. Boys, laying off, yay or nay? You first, Brent.
Oh, it's a tough one, this one, laying off. I think laying back your stake is a good option, but if you've taken the bet in the first place, stick with it. And that's what you're there to do. You're there to have a bet and you're there to win. I'm happy to lay back to get your stake so you come out square. But apart from that, let it ride.
Easier in a football game when you might have only got two teams, Nick. But when you've got the quaddie going or you've got a horse, and I remember a couple of weeks ago in Sydney, there was a multi going for some punter who took $10 into $15 and had a horse going at $21 that opened up at $1.90 on the tab. But what, you had to bet it on the bookmakers there. But what do you do to lay off in a horse race?
Well, I think you're really punting to win money. You shouldn't be worried about losing money. You're going to have a bet on a Saturday and you want to have a crack to try and hopefully, pay for the rent for the week, risking your $20 note, which you didn't miss when you put on, so you're not going to miss if you lose. I'm against laying off. If you've got a quaddie and there's a couple of horses you don't have in the last leg, maybe I'll let you back them. And if it's the last leg of a sports multi and you can have it going so you've got a split going, I'll let you do that. So, if it's the fourth leg of a footy multi and you can back the other team plus 10.5, I'll let you do that because there's a chance you'll win twice.
I think it's all common sense when it comes down to it. Like, as Nick said, if you're coming home in a field of 18 and a quaddie, you've got 4 horses. Well, obviously, you're not going to lay off on the other 14 if you've only got a couple of $1,000 result. But if you're looking at a massive dividend of like 20,000 or something like that, and there's only another 10 horses in the race, well, why not lay off? And instead of getting the big 20,000, why not just guarantee yourself a $5,000 result instead of walking home with a hard luck story? Even more so if you're talking about sport all-ups. We had one punter at Centrebet on the weekend. He had an 8 sport bet multi. We're talking about from NRL to AFL to under 20s in the NRL to all over the world, and he came home. The last leg was Parramatta taking on Penrith. He had Parramatta to win. Now, I think they were down 18-6 with about 30 minutes to go. I think that's right, Russ.
Yep.
Now, his bet was 500 at 60 to 1 to get 30,000. Now, if that bloke didn't lay off there, he's got, I was going to say, brass monkeys.
Should have had more on, I reckon.
Or he's just crazy. I think in those situations, you have to lay off.
Well, there was a bloke I know very well, had 100 on Sebring a few years back at $3, all up nom de jour, all up Casino Prince. Casino Prince going for $99,000. That stupid idiot did not lay off because he was currently on air at the time and he couldn't. But
what's his name?
It was the worst day of my life. And as they went across the line, the director said, and cue you, because we did a replay of the race. And I'm sitting there going, oh, well done, Bossy. Bossy wins on triple on. It was
Damien Oliver just in hands.
And then he gets off and says, oh, sorry about that. I slaughtered it. We should have won. Oh, good on you, Damien.
Perfect.
Odds on look on. There's another one. Do you?
As I mentioned before, don't agree with the odds on look on theory.
Neither do I.
If you price a horse, or if you've got an opinion of something where you think a horse should be sort of $1.20, $1.30, $1.50, and they're betting $1.90, why not have a go?
Nick?
Look, I think even though they can be odds on, they can still sometimes represent value. You can get $1.80 on things in sport and racing that are $1.20 chances. So therefore, have a bet and back yourself in.
Yeah, I'm happy to back odds on in sport events. It's a bit tricky and it's a race and there might be 15 horses in the field and, yeah, it could be the horse that's head and shoulders above them, but you've got luck in running and you're going to outlay a lot to get back a little. You want to have a good, strong heart.
The Sydney Carnival just recently, 9 of the 11 odds-on pops, remember Atlantic Jewel, Piero, Machine, all won. Do you want to know who was on the only 2 that I think all 2 halves won?
There's a pattern emerging here. There is a real pattern. Mug punter is certainly the perfect title.
In unwatchable drip/mug punter.
Well, I'll tell you what, Russ, there's another thing just for the punters out there, a little bit like yourself. If you don't want to outlay too much on all the odds on, Centrebet's new website, they've got the favourite all up for like the next 3 races. You can just all up them, and instead of taking $1.80, $1.70 about the one favourite, you can end up getting $4 or $5 at the 3 all up. So you don't need to outlay as much
to
get
the run for your money.
3. Yeah, give me watch 2 of the 3 win when you do that.
Top 3 jockeys. This is for our forum discussion, so you can go to puntersparadise.com.au and you can have your say. The top 3 jockeys anywhere in Australia. I was tempted to say Blake Ryan at the picnics, but
pickle.
He's got the best strike rate of any jockey in Australia at the moment, around 50-odd%. But this is it. And my top 3 are Nash Rawiller, Damien Oliver, and Huge Bowman.
Well, my 3 will be pretty similar.
A lot of people don't like Damien, but I just think he's...
Oh, his record speaks for itself. Yep. Longevity across a number of years. He's certainly one of the best in Australia. My 3, I've gone for Nash Rawiller, Glyn Schofield and Hugh Bowman. A little bit biased, a little bit of talking through my kick, but that's because I punt in Sydney and they're the 3 that I certainly look to.
Michael?
I'm going to take Lukey Nolan. Forget about the
very debatable.
Forget about the brain fade on Black Caviar and have a look at his record. He's got obviously the most winners. Pete Moody's no monk. He doesn't put Luke Nolan on because he can't ride it.
True.
Just go back and have a look at his ride on Lights of Heaven in the Brisbane Carnival when she drew the car park and he had a one off the fence after about 300 metres. He's a star. So is Craig Newitt, one of the best riders down here. No surprise those 2 jockeys are fighting out the Victorian Premiership. And for the Sydney Siders, I'm at 3 out of 3 with you boys with H. Bowman.
Brenny boy, good to see you put a Victorian on top. That's what we like. I've got Michael Rodd in first place. I think he's a ridiculously underrated rider. He's got a tremendous strike rate and you just want to back Michael Rodd all day, every day. I've got Craig Williams for second. Does a bit of travelling these days, so we don't see him as much as we used to, but he's an absolute star and he showed during the Spring Carnival here in Melbourne how brilliant he is. And for third, I've got Nash Rawiller. Fantastic racing family and top jockey. Honourable mention to Stephen Pateman. Up in Sydney, you look at jumpers as something to keep you, warm in those cold winters that you have. But down here, jumps racing, it's going as well as ever, and he's an absolute star of the show.
And you boys like your shorties. I tell you what, the strike rate and jumps racing, the shorties, they just keep on winning.
Okay, fair enough, boys. That'll do it. Your thoughts welcome as well at the email, at the Twitter, and on the forum on puntersparadise.com.au. As we head to a break, we might check in with some sports news after this.